Tomorrow, June 9th, 2018, would have been the 60th birthday of my best friend Craig. Long time ago, I made a video called I Wasn't Always an Old Broad, and there was one photo of he and I in that video, and many of you asked, "Oh, please tell us about that young man." And the fact is, that young man was my best friend, starting late in my junior year of college at University of Texas. And we were best friends until the day he died, which was May 22nd of 1986. And he was an incredibly talented person. He was an incredibly sweet person. He loved me. I loved him. He was my best friend. And at the time, I'd like to say, as far as I know, we didn't know as much about bipolar disorder as we do now, but that is certainly what he suffered from. I know that in maybe the 2 or 3 years before he died, I asked him at one point if there was any sort of medication that could make him feel better. And he said that he had been on some medication and that seemed to make him worse. And I suffer survivor's guilt. I still ask myself what I could have done to keep him from doing what he did, which is what he called the foolproof method. He took an entire bottle of his stepmother's cramp medication and went to sleep in the car, in the garage with the car turned on, and left a note on the door for his younger stepbrother and stepsister saying, "Don't come in the garage, please go call Dad." And left a lengthy rambling letter. At any rate, I am reminded of all this since tomorrow would have been his 60th birthday, but also because it's been a very strange and sad week. First, Kate Spade died, and today Anthony Bourdain died, and both were suicides. And I can't help thinking, I don't know about Mr. Bourdain, but apparently Kate Spade's husband has already said that she suffered many years from depression and anxiety. My voice is better, by the way, but not completely back. And yes, here I am with no makeup because this isn't a YouTube video, but I feel like it's important. I wanted to say this to you. I don't know why, but I did. I am not a mental health professional. Back in, well, I'm going to say around 15 years ago, I complained to my doctor about my inability to sleep, my constant insomnia. He said, "Why can't you sleep?" And I said, "Well, I go to bed, I start rearranging the furniture, I start making lists, I start designing quilts." He said, "Okay, you're a little bit OCD and you can't turn off your brain, and I'm going to give you an antidepressant." And I reacted in a very negative manner. And he said, "No, old-fashioned antidepressants, those are SSRIs. What they do is they give a person, they just knock out people with mental problems. But if you give a low dosage to an otherwise normal person, the result is a good night's sleep." He's my doctor. I didn't question him. So after 4 or 5 different antidepressants, we found one that had basically no ill effects besides giving me a good night's sleep. And side effects is the word I was looking for and couldn't find. Um, and so we settled on that one, and I've been taking it ever since. And at some point along the way, I don't know how this came up in a conversation, but he said that he felt that I suffered from depression. And I said, but I've never considered killing myself. And he said, most people who suffer from depression never think of killing themselves. They're just very sad. And I said, well, it is true that I do spend most of my life when I'm not at work, because I still worked at that time, sitting around on the sofa in my nightgown. And he said, that's it. That's what most depressed people do. And then a few years ago, just over a year ago, I had that meltdown in the drugstore, which I spoke about in a video. And I don't know if I mentioned, but at that time, the doctor put me on anti-anxiety medication. So both of these medications did seem to help. I say that because once I ran out of the antidepressant medication, and within 5 days, and I was trying to get it, it was an insurance issue. Within 5 days, I was crying all the time and, apologizing at the same time. I don't know why I'm crying. I'm sorry. I just can't stop. But I do think I'm better. At any rate, the other people that I've known in my lifetime who did suffer from depression and or anxiety and or bipolar disorder, I am sorry to say, we're far more severely affected than I have ever been. And the other thing I wanted to tell you in this same regard is, if you are a regular subscriber, you will know that on March 1st, I started a nutritarian diet, which is a form of vegan diet. And it's had all sorts of positive effects. But one that I did not mention, and that is that about 2.5 weeks into the diet, I almost felt a literal physical and psychological click, and all of my depression and anxiety seemed to go away. All my bad moods, all my anger, and I've been happy ever since, almost disgustingly so. And as I said, I'm not a mental health professional, but there is some indication that a vegan diet can help with these issues. So I just wanted to say to any of you out there who have suffered from these ills that please try everything out there that it's possible to try before you do something that can't be undone. Please go to your doctor. Try medications. Try them till you find the right one. Please try a vegan diet. Please try exercising. There's a lot to be said for endorphin euphoria. Please talk to a friend. Please call the National Suicide Hotline. Do anything before taking the final step that you just can't undo, that affects a lot more people besides yourself. Obviously, this is not a clinical kind of video. Obviously, this is very personal, but I'm just one person. And if I help anybody with these few words, then that's a good thing. Now, if you have hung in there and you know who I am and you're a subscriber, let me say, Welcome new subscribers. I should have a beauty video for you next week, and yes, new haircut. With regard to the diet, started on March 1st. As of this past Monday, I've lost 24.5 pounds, so like 100 to go, and it is going very well. I started getting regular with the gym this week. Finally, I've been sporadic up to this week, but finally this week I'm on the way to making it a habit, and everything actually is going very well. I don't know if I mentioned, but fairly early on, the doctor removed one of my diabetes medications, and since that time, one night when I checked my blood pressure and it was 89/55, pardon me, itchy nose, the doctor cut my blood pressure medication in half. So it's going well, and I believe I am going to continue with this lifestyle until I've reached my goal weight, which is, I don't really know. For my height and bone structure, which is 5'5" and actually petite under here, it's supposed to be between 117 and 125. And I would say that in my senior year of high school, if you lined me up with my 5 best girlfriends, all of whom were average girls and not skinny, and I weighed 128 pounds and was noticeably overweight compared to them. So I would agree with that, except for the fact that I'm 62 years old now, and I am hoping to put on a little muscle as I lose weight, and that might make maybe somewhere between 130 and 140 not only more practical but more desirable. Anyway, my doctor monitors me, and he will decide when the time comes. By the way, I'm sure you have all seen this little white area across my nose in a million videos. Last time I was at the doctor's, he was looking at me like this and looking at me, and I said, "What are you looking at?" He said, "Well, people who suffer from allergies often have a wrinkle across their nose from doing that all the time." And he said he'd never seen anybody with just a little white strip, but apparently that's what that is. I think I'm going to start putting some contour on it. Anyway, that is it. I am well, I am happy, and I'm sorry, but it's been such a sad and strange week. And with Craig's birthday tomorrow, I just had to come talk to you about it. Love y'all. I'll be far more cheerful next time, I promise. Bye.